by focusing on women, that made us really focus on keeping it safe and clean and trustworthy. I mean, we really took a lead on trust and safety. We really took a lead on making it a clean, well-lit place for women. And that's why Match won.
Welcome to Taking Care of Lady Business, where we get real about what it takes to succeed, whether it's in business, life, or both. I'm talking to game-changing and visionary women who've broken barriers, built empires, and redefined success on their own terms. They'll share their strategies, secrets, and the no BS advice you need to rise to the top. I'm your host, Jennifer Justice, also known as JJ. Let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Taking Care of Lady Business. I'm Jennifer Justice. Today, we have Fran Maier. She is the CEO and co-founder of Baby Quip. Hi, Fran. How are you?
Oh, great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm so glad we can make this work. You have such an interesting background, and everyone who does not know who you are is about to. You're one of those women that makes me pissed off that I don't know more about you. I should have known more about you growing up.
I'm not that much older.
No, I'm not saying that, but in college and because here's the thing. Fran was a co-founder of Match.com, right?
Yeah, right.
Like what?
Right.
We hear about all these men in tech and doing this, and here you are doing this incredible thing in a time where, when you were really young and doing things that we didn't see women doing, It
was all so brand new. I remember telling my friends my children, my sons, who were born in the early 90s. And I had to tell them, you don't get it. The internet happened.
Yes.
Yes. And I was fortunate to be in a good place to be part of that shift.
Yeah. And also, and we're going to touch on all this, but also the other point you're saying you're not that much older. No, because you were young doing that. And at that time, in particular, in the 90s and early 2000s, young people didn't do that stuff, in particular, a woman. You know what I mean? That was preserved for more seasoned people. So there's so much to get into and unpack. So hi, Fran, how are you? Let's start with your background and Match.com. Tell us how you got into that and what happened.
So I grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, went to Stanford undergrad and biz school. And from there went to Clorox Company, where I was doing brand management, which is like the postgraduate degree in marketing, and super excited to be there at the time. And then I left and I was at AAA, the auto company for Northern California in 1994. And that was the first time I saw the internet, AOL, and I looked at it and I knew, oh my God, this is going to change everything.
Yeah. And how's
that? And so I'm in ground zero. I'm working in San Francisco. Everything is popping up. And I went to my 5-year business school reunion and connected with Gary Kremen. And Gary Kremen started a company called Electric Classifieds. The idea is to get classified advertising onto the internet. But he had one product that he wanted to do on our own. The other classifieds were supposed to go through newspapers.
Yeah.
Try and get the newspapers to put their classified advertising on our platform.
Yeah.
And part of it is because Gary wanted a date, but part of it was that it would be a good proof of concept.
All good ideas are because of a need that you have, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so Gary and I connected at our reunion, and he knew that I was a marketing person, and he thought that a good brand person would be important for, and especially a woman. And he was right. So after delivering Chinese food and pizza to the guys in the basement, we eventually came to terms, and I joined the team in late 1994. And we launched Match in May of 1995.
Amazing. So you are in the wild, wild west of the internet, and you're in a area of tech in particular that still is and can be a little bit controversial, right? About, who, not controversial in a way that like, meaning, you should, be able to get matched online, but just, you know, are the right people showing up? Are, is it exclusive and there's thousands of people on a wait list like Raya? Or is it segmented to certain
Well,
populations?
hey,
Or you
we're
know,
30 years later right now. Things
yeah,
have evolved in a whole lot of different ways. I
yeah,
mean, now people say they're dating on the apps, right? But in
yeah,
1995, let me just tell you what it was like in 1995. First of all, most people, there were no apps,
yeah,
okay? Most people were dialing in on a phone,
yeah.
okay? Um, there were no photos. Mostly people did not have digital cameras. And because people were dialing in on the phones, we could not have heavy graphics or photos because
Oh
that
my
takes
God. Yeah.
um, too much space. Basically, the files are too big, and so it wouldn't load. So we're talking a completely different world.
Yeah. A whole new
There,
category gets created too.
and while there were some other sort of bulletin boards or other more basic personals, which is what they were called back then, personals, because that's what they were on the newspapers.
Yeah.
This was online matchmaking or online dating. And
And
it was
what
a
an
completely
amazing,
different thing.
and Match.com. I mean, the name, insane.
Right. No, it was fantastic. In fact, Jennifer, I'm working on a memoir and have been thinking about those early days. And it just strikes me from the very beginning, we had people who wanted to come on to Match. And here's the deal, they were lonely. They weren't
Yeah.
all these other options. The personals on the newspapers, for the most part, were pretty sleazy. Not to say they didn't work, but it was basically 900 numbers. So the newspapers were trying to generate people to call on the phone to talk. Um, it really wasn't about getting together.
And
And,
charge for it.
and of course, they'd be charged for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A lot of things changed in 30
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
But I can tell you from the very beginning, by focusing on women, that made us really focus on keeping it safe and clean and trustworthy. We were the ones who came up with the, dating in the wild tips, like, meet at a public place, don't share personal contact information. I mean, we really took a lead on trust and safety. We really took a lead on making it a clean, well lit place for women. And that's why Match won.
Yeah. Amazing. So, and aren't you, I mean, I've read and done research on you, and aren't you the one like saying, didn't your partner or somebody want to add like weight or something like that with
Oh, right,
women?
right. So I take credit for a few things because we were focusing on women. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, we wanted people to have matches. And
Yeah.
remember, we're the first ones there. So we're not asking 20 questions.
Yeah.
Okay. The first iteration of Match was just 5 or 6 questions. And because there weren't photos, we had to ask about, color of eyes, color of hair, whatever. And I remember the engineer coming into my office like, hey, we're doing the weight question. And I was like, hey, no, 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 we're not doing the weight question. And, um, most women, it's a struggle. And I knew, no, women do not want to put down their weight. I mean, so we went with body type,
Right.
athletic, slender, Rubenesque, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Sophia Loren.
So to this day, nobody on dating sites ever puts in their weight,
Yeah. Good. Good.
right?
Yeah. So then how long then before you started getting like photos and really like,
Within a couple of years, we had photos. Well, one of the things that I was reminiscing about as well is we would get feedback from the very beginning from our customers, and they came back really fast with, hey, you need to add these questions. And I remember thinking that these questions really showed that people were on Match, not really at that point, and I'm sure there was hooking up for sure, of course, but they were pretty serious about trying to find a partner. And the
Mm-hmm.
questions that they wanted us to add, which we did pretty quickly, were about children,
Mm-hmm.
whether you had them, whether you wanted them, whether you had them and they're grown. It's a complicated kind of question. And also religion.
Yeah.
And again, that really reinforced that they were looking at potential long-term marriage partners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how long were you there in total?
Till March of 1998 or May, somewhere spring of 1998, we sold it. It's very embarrassing to me. We sold it for less than $8 million. We sold just the Match.com part to fund the Electric Classifieds part. And Electric Classifieds didn't make it. And Match is a $1 billion company.
Yeah. Oh
Now,
my
I wasn't
God.
real happy about that sale. Um, at the time, though, I was a very young woman. I was in my early 30s. I had two small children and I was exhausted. I don't think I had the support I needed. The smarter move for me then would have been to try and get the investment myself. But I was a woman in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Nobody suggested it. I don't think I had the confidence. So I didn't talk to people about what should I do. I didn't ask for help. I think had I asked for help, some people would have said, why don't you get the investment and lead it yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And within a year or around a year later, it was sold for $70 million.
Oh my God.
And
Oh, like
I
the
got
hindsight
nothing.
is
I got
2020
nothing on that
situation.
one. Yeah,
Huh?
I didn't
And the
get
hardest part
anything
is
for
building
that.
it, right? It's like, well, that's one of the hardest parts. It's like building it. Like, so when you started to win, like the 4 years later when you guys sold it, like how big had it grown? How many users were on there?
Oh, probably about 100,000. I can't remember exactly. I had that presentation. I should go look. But, we were one of the first successful subscription models on the internet.
Yeah.
At the time, people were paying for the Wall Street Journal, Match.com, and porn sites,
Yeah.
right?
By the way, other than Wall Street Journal, those other two categories are probably still the two most utilized in internet digital in general. So okay, you sold that and you hopefully made a little bit of money on that. And then what did you do after that?
Nah, I made very little money. I bought furniture for my new house.
Mm.
Um, from there, I went on to women.com, which was a website aimed at getting women on the internet and giving them the stuff that they need. Believe it or not, there weren't very many women-oriented sites.
Yeah,
Um, we worked with Hearst Company, and we had like Cosmo and Redbook and Good Housekeeping. And so that was kind of exciting. And I stayed there till about 1999. It IPO'd late 99.
that's
At that
fast.
point, yeah, no, it was kind of back then. I
Were
mean,
you a founder or you just joined somebody else at
I
that
just
point?
joined as a CMO. I was one of
Okay.
the first, 50 employees, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
It was well funded. And it seemed like, I obviously should have stayed into to dating, but I didn't. And then from there, I went over to bluelight.com, which was a Kmart, Yahoo, SoftBank joint venture. And I built the fastest ISP aimed at, means internet service provider to
Yeah.
these young kids. And that was aimed at Kmart shoppers. And that kind of blew up with a dot-com bust,
Yeah.
so
Which
we
was like
spent
2000, early 2000s, right?
2001, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2001. Yeah.
2000, 2001. Yeah.
Yeah.
And from
And
there, I went over to TrustArc, or now it's called TrustArc, it's called Trustee. It was an internet privacy company, a nonprofit industry association. And I didn't think I'd stay there that long, but this time I was the CEO or the executive director of a nonprofit.
mhm.
And I got a do-over, Jennifer.
I love it.
In
Good.
2008, I took Trustee from a nonprofit, raised some venture capital, and made it a for-profit. And I was the founder, and I got an equity piece, and it's still doing well. It's not the same brand as Match, obviously, but this time I raised some money and transformed the organization.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's clear learning from your mistakes, right?
Absolutely. And by that point, I'm a little bit older. I'm a little bit more confident. I've thought enough about what happened and what could have happened. And I decided to take a different tact on it.
Yeah. And you had your experience, knowledge, and a whole different network, right? And I'm
Yeah,
sure
right.
you
And
were
this time
asking for help
I
by
asked
then.
for help,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Such a big issue. It's something I talk about all the time, asking for it, asking for help, asking for what you want. That's one of the reasons why our progress is going backwards is if we do not as gender like make these moves and ask for the things that we want and deserve, it's never going to happen. And
Not just ask, demand.
well, demand, I mean, it's just asking for it in the first place, but then when you don't get it, asking, you're also if people aren't going to give it to you, you're asking the wrong people, right? You got to go to the right people. You got to go in a
Yeah,
place
that's a
where
good
you can
point.
actually grow and survive, because you shouldn't have to demand it. Actually, we should be able to ask for it because we're worth it and get it, you
Right,
know?
right.
So you have all this experience in this industry that not many people had, right? As long as you had. And then you started your own new company, Baby Quip, right? So tell us about that.
So basically, I left trustee in 2012. I was still on the board. And around that time, got divorced, moved from Alameda to San Francisco, want to be closer to my friends. Alameda, great place to raise a family, but the other side of the bay. So
Mhm.
moved to San Francisco. And within months of moving to San Francisco, because my house was up the street from Airbnb, on a lark, I started to rent rooms in my house on Airbnb. I was just curious about this whole gig economy and how this thing was working.
You
And
let
I was
strangers into your house.
yes, all the time. It was incredible. I didn't even tell people about it. I was so embarrassed, but I was also intrigued. I met some interesting people. It was kind of fun. And basically, it became obvious I could make a lot of money. And why go get a regular job if this can be my side gig? And then I decided to buy a house in Santa Fe, which is where I grew up, and it's a lovely, lovely city, small city, and started to Verbo and Airbnb that one.
Hmm.
And um, that got me thinking about the way people are traveling and the way people are working now in the gig economy and what businesses are going to emerge from this change. As a sidebar, if I were 30 years younger, I'd be trying to figure out how I'm going to work in an AI company, you
Well,
know,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
right? Of course. I'm not going to do that now.
Yeah.
Needless to say, we use AI in a lot of different ways. But in any case, change always is where you find the opportunities for new
Yeah.
companies. And
Yep.
it took a couple of years, but I met this gal from Santa Fe who was coming out to Silicon Valley to pitch her idea for baby gear rentals.
Hmm.
And in that first meeting, we were talking about it. And I was like, Carrie, I should be your CEO. And in terms of background, I was getting bored. I mean,
Yeah.
I was still in my, let's see, how 52. I
Hmm.
was still pretty young. I was interested it was too early to retire. I didn't quite have the money to retire anyway.
Right.
And and I thought about working for other people's startups. And then I was like, nah, once you're a CEO, once you've raised the money, why work for somebody else?
Yeah. It's hard.
Right. Make your own idea happen. And so Carrie and I joined forces and we launched, it was called Baby Heirs in May of 2016. And she stuck around till 2017. Startups aren't for everybody.
Yeah.
And um, she's lives in Albuquerque now, is working for one of the big um, defense department, or I guess it's called the War Department now, labs, and is very happy. And my son Joe, who was at that point 5 years post college, thinking about his next move, studied computer science. He joined the team as my CTO. So that's unusual. There's not a lot of mom's son.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. So tell us what Baby Quip does.
Oh, gosh. What Baby Quip does is we deliver baby gear, mostly strollers, car seats, cribs, high chairs to traveling families. We're like the Vrbo or Airbnb of baby gear. We have local people at the destination, be it Santa Fe, San Francisco, New York City, Orlando, what have you. These are mostly moms. We call them quality providers, and they're the ones who deliver the gear. They own the gear, they clean it, they deliver it, pick it up, set it up, and do it all over again. And we have about 3,000 of them. And we cover over 2,000 markets, mostly in the US, but also Canada, Mexico, and beyond.
Amazing. I mean, I have twins. They're
Oh,
12
do you?
now, but
Oh,
yes.
you would have loved us.
So yes, they were born in 2013 and we did a lot of traveling. And I remember I had to always, like I bought separate pack and plays for LA because I had to go there so much, and kept them there. So it is such a necessary resource and company. So yeah, I get why you wanted to join forces with it. That's for sure. So, but tell me how it works. So people individually own this stuff or does Baby Quip own it?
No, the quality providers, they own the baby gear themselves.
Amazing. So you have a lot of different people. It's kind of like a Turo situation where they own a car.
Yeah, it's like a Turo or a Vrbo or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know what the customers want in their market. Might be different in San Antonio versus, Marin County, California. And we train them on safety and cleanliness and guidance on what kind of inventory. They use our platform to list everything. They set their own prices. They set their vacation days, their delivery radius, their inventory. And they are really building a business on our platform. And we also teach them about affiliate marketing and social media and, how to get a Google My Business page. And it's a very active community. They really support each other. It's fantastic. I love this aspect that we're making other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's exactly it. It's like somebody who already has the stuff and they don't have, you don't have to learn so much more and to make it into something that you can actually build a career around. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, they tell me, especially when they hit, maybe their 100th order or their third year on the platform, the difference it's made in their lives. And I find that to be so personally gratifying.
yeah, somebody who can't really afford to do it, not afford, but like they can't do a 9 to 5 in the same typical way
Right.
because of other, requirements at home or whatever it is.
They
Or
do
they don't
this
want
with
to work
their
for another boss.
kids. They do this with their kids.
Yeah.
And it pays for their own vacations to Disney World.
Right. Exactly. So you've been doing this now for it's like almost 10 years now.
Yeah, almost 10 years.
And so have you found, did you have to raise money to grow and scale?
Yeah, I've raised over time about $12 million, all kind of under the rubric of seed financing. I've done even crowdfunding rounds, which, I was early to do that too.
Yeah.
And as you probably know, it's difficult for women to raise money. Yes. Even with my track record and network, which really did come through for me, it's still hard to raise money. We're doing a crowdfunding round right now on Start Engine. This might be the last money that we have to raise.
What is the point of this last round?
Give us some opportunity to get into some new areas. So, for example, couple of things that are super exciting. One is we just announced our partnership with Vrbo. It's already in market. So now when you rent a place on Vrbo, you'll be presented to rent baby gear, beach gear, pet gear on Baby Quip.
Oh, you can do pet and beach as well for
so we expanded into pet and beach, which leads to the second exciting thing. We're getting into mobility. So for people with disabilities and older people who need walkers, wheelchairs, bath supplies, things like that. We're now getting into that. And we want to invest into that category because just like baby gear, there's a real need. I don't know if you've had to experience it, but
Yeah.
yeah, and there's no real solutions. And the next thing is like with Verbo, we want to have integrations with a whole bunch of other companies. And we need to build some tech to make that happen.
So when you guys started Baby Quip, or it was Baby Airs, I guess at that time, was the concept always to find providers in different cities, or was it to like buy the stuff and
No,
rent
the
it?
concept was from the very beginning, Carrie's idea, and that's the one that I glommed onto, was to have these gig economy side hustle moms all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah. It's also a sharing economy, right? Like,
Yeah, but it's beyond sharing what they have for their own kids. They really invest in inventory, because family, they make more money if they have more gear.
yeah, right. And so when these people, these quality providers are providing this stuff, like, and you said you give them like training and social media, and they're going on vacations, etc. How long do they usually stay on, like as individuals?
God, we have some people who are still on from 2016 and 2017. But life happens. Some of them
Yeah.
go back and get full-time jobs as their kids get older. Sometimes they move. Sometimes they pause because they're going to have another baby. So I'm not sure what the average tenure is, but if they're doing well, they do well if they work it, and if they do especially well if they're in a big market.
Yeah. So tell us about
Where are
all of
you,
your,
Jennifer?
huh?
Where are you?
I'm in New York City.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, so people are traveling here, and they
Yeah,
are,
it's
I mean,
one of our bigger
we can't really
markets.
have Airbnbs, but if they're traveling
God, I guess
and
not, right? Yeah,
yeah,
crazy.
but if you're staying somewhere, it doesn't even matter if it's a hotel, they don't have everything that you need, right? And you don't just want to go out and buy it. It's too expensive. Or something could get broken on an airplane, which has also happened. And that's a complete
Right,
disaster,
right.
you know? Yeah. So after all this time and all this amazing experience, like, we have a lot of really amazing women that listen to this podcast. Like, what are the things that you think that you really did right and helped you propel yourself into these
Well,
categories?
I really learned lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So just like with Match.com, with Baby Quip, I knew trust and safety was going to be really critical.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the time when I looked at the market and saw who our competitors were, there was nobody who was doing it nationally and nobody who was doing it based on a foundation of trust and safety and cleanliness. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that parents really care about. I think the other thing is I knew from Match, all kinds of lessons. I knew from Match, you know, forming partnerships is really critical. So this idea that, our partnership with Verbo, yeah, it's taken 9 years, but from the very beginning, we wanted partnerships with the big platforms. And
Mm-hmm.
we studied those platforms to learn how to, you know, their best lessons are our best lessons. And we worked really well together in getting this partnership off because um, we've already been a student of their businesses.
Mm-hmm. Right. The research knowledge is key. Knowledge is
Yeah.
the real information there.
And then, of course, I think it helps to have a network that helped with the fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I've hired and developed a lot of teams. So that kind of experience is really helpful as well.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, I really bring a brand perspective to this, And my whole career, I think I've built brands and trusted brands. And that's really what I've done here with Baby Quip.
Right. Yeah. Just adding on to your experiences. I mean, it's incredible. I would not have thought of that business model at first, and I know that wasn't your totally initial idea, but it was kind of hand tailored for you, given the fact that your obsession with Airbnb and understanding and trying to get understanding that whole
Yeah.
model,
Yeah. It was kind of fun.
Yeah. You had stuff sitting
I did
around.
a job with Airbnb back then, and they said they were looking for somebody. Oh God, what was the phrase? It was basically they were looking for somebody younger.
Yeah. Yeah. Happens. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? They're lost,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And everyone else's gain that gets to actually have, a career and their own business under Baby Quip,
Yeah. And, I'm thrilled with Brady Cook. It's a lot of fun. The team is great. We have impact on the entrepreneurs that we're creating, but also families having a better vacation. They
Mm-hmm.
tell us all the time, we saved the vacation. We came to the rescue.
So what? So I would understand what stuff is for like babies and beach. Like what are the things that you have like for pets?
Crates, beds, dishes.
Love
I
it.
think that's mostly it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beaches, chairs, beach umbrellas. We're not doing snorkeling equipment because
Yeah.
I don't want the liability, but
Of course. Yeah.
but also in this other category, and eventually we're going to call it GoQuip. Small appliances. You'd be surprised how many people want to rent a blender or a
Yeah.
microwave.
No, so true. I mean,
Right?
if anybody watched that last season of what's the one? White Lotus, right? First thing
Oh
the
yeah,
young kid
right.
does is ask for a blender for his protein smoothies, you know?
I know that was crazy.
Yeah, well, you often want these things and you don't have them in wherever you're staying. Go Quip. Yes, that was the other thing that I was thinking. Obviously, Baby Quip. One of the things you probably need for this next round is money for a rebrand, rename.
Yeah, that work, the technology, the supply for the mobility stuff is a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's people with um, small businesses usually are the ones that have wheelchairs and scooters and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we might be working with some of them as well.
Yeah, because you're going to need more space too for those
Right,
kinds of things. Yeah.
right. And maybe they have vans and things like that to carry them.
Right.
So
Amazing. So you told us like things that you think you've done right, and they're young women, trying to raise money now and trying to build a business. What are some things that you think that you did wrong and learned from, other than the
um,
obvious thing about
oh
not
my
buying
God.
your
I mean,
company?
so many mistakes, spending money on things that didn't pan out in terms of brand building, shifting more money into lead gen and really being surgical about how we spend the money. Structuring partnerships that didn't pay out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think one of the challenges for BabyQuip has been to really figure out how many quality providers to have in a given market so that they all make good money, but not having so few that um, they can't supply demand. I mean, recently somebody on our community said, I sold out of cribs for Thanksgiving. And she's happy about it. I'm not, you know.
Exactly.
There better be enough. This is only September. We better make sure there's enough people in these markets that have cribs for Thanksgiving.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's pretty early.
Yeah, right. So getting in any kind of marketplace, getting the supply and the demand right
Yeah.
is always a challenge. Um, yeah, I made tons of mistakes.
Right. But the trick is recovering and recovering quickly,
Right,
right?
and learning from them.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I think entrepreneurs will know or learn is you can't control a lot. Timing is everything. I mean, you could argue for Match, we were too early.
Mm-hmm.
Had we hung on for a couple more years, obviously we would have enjoyed a lot bigger success, at least under the first group, right?
Right. Why
Um,
did you sell at that particular time? Did you need
because the
money?
other part of the company that was doing the classifieds for newspapers was running out of money and they were having a hard time raising it.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a winner,
Yeah.
you know? And we knew we had a winner. We were number one right then. So why not invest in the winner? And that was my pitch, but it didn't go anywhere.
I guess the other one is make sure if you're a co-founder or something that you get, some kind of say in the outcome, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I was an early team member. So
yeah.
The things that I think have served me well have been, for example, knowing my song choice. So when I was thinking about doing startups after Trustee, and I landed on BabyQuip in part because I knew I had the skills. But I was looking at some other ones that maybe would have been outside my range.
Mm-hmm.
And at least I'm happy that I say song choice because I'm thinking about American Idol. And some of the feedback would be, that's not the right song for your voice, right?
Right.
Or your talents.
Yeah.
And I knew when I saw BabyQuip, because of my experience with Match and because of my experience with Airbnb and Verbo, that I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, that's kind of good. Sometimes people choose things and it's not really a fit with their experience. Also,
right.
doing things that we love. I spent 10 years plus at Trustee, which was internet privacy, which was really important. And I geeked out on it and we made some really big impact on people. But it was mostly a B2B to consumer play. And I love consumer marketing, So trying to keep with your passions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because with somebody here, and I'm about to ask you, the one question that I ask everyone, when her answer was not to follow your passion.
Not to follow your passion? Well, okay. But
it makes things much easier if you love what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
The ideal is to be good at what you're passionate about and make money from it, right? That's always the quest. Yeah. Well, I know that you are running this big company and you need to go, but we'd love to ask the one last question. And that is, what is the worst advice you've ever received?
I would put this under the category of don't take the risk.
Mm.
And don't start that new company. Don't put your money into this. Don't buy that house on the hill in San Francisco. Don't, sort of naysayers about keep it conservative, keep it close.
Yeah. Don't follow your instinct.
And I'm a risk taker. At this point, I've embraced my risk taking. It has served me well. There are plenty of people over the years who say, pundits, and they're right, that to not take risk is more risky.
Mm-hmm.
So I say sometimes you got to go for it. And the naysayers are, probably wrong. They're probably looking out for you, though, which is why you want to, you hear them. I remember after my divorce, I had a bunch of friends, this before I started BabyQuip, before I bought another property in New Mexico. And I had some friends over, and I said to them, I'm not married anymore, and nobody tells me no. And I just want to ask you guys, do you think maybe I'm taking on too much? And they all said, no, you're fine. And it turned out fine. But
amazing.
Right?
Yes. That's great advice there. I don't take no. How about that?
Right. Okay.
What better way to end? Thank you so much. If people want to find you and find BabyQuip, how do they do that?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Fran Maier, FranMaier, ex-husband's name. What can I do? And then BabyQuip at babyquip.com. I think we gave you a promo code.
Oh, yeah, you did. And we will use it. So people know that there's a promo code in the show notes when we release the episode. So I'm excited. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Can I ask people go to startengine.com if they'd like to learn more about the business and potentially invest. It's open to unaccredited investors.
To say what the website is?
Start Engine.
Amazing.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And for everyone listening, until next time, I'm Jennifer Justice. Bye. Thanks to MedJet for supporting the Lady Business podcast. If you're hospitalized or your security is threatened while traveling, they can get you home. I'm a MedJet member and have been for years. Everyone who travels should be. Enroll before your next trip at medjet.com. Thanks for tuning in to Taking Care of Lady Business. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. And also share this episode with a friend who needs that extra push to own their success. If you want more strategy stories and exclusive content, follow us on TikTok at Taking Care of Lady Business, on Instagram at thejustice.dept and Jennifer Justice L, or visit our website at thejusticedept.com. Taking Care of Lady Business is a production of Lady Business LLC.